Have you seen any kind of reaction on the part of other, you know, developers in the marketplace to your adventures in real time?
I think it's definitely raised people's awareness of the feature, and you know, it's hard to tease apart exactly, you know, what people's motivations are, but there's certainly a lot of interest in real time right now. We've had a number of people contact us about getting access to real time data. They're interested in the forthcoming real time APIs. So it's definitely something that people are working on, and there've been, you know, a few of these real time search engines have launched just in the last couple of weeks. Though I think their definition of real time search is different from ours.
Yeah, it's real time according to however what level of service that Twitter provides.
Right. I mean, theirs is real time, meaning that it's searching recent data, whereas the real time search that we launched today is actually literally instant, or like within a second. As soon as something happens, it actually just pops into your browser right there. So I think that's fairly unique at this point, but I'm sure others will follow.
And, you know, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but the impact of Wave, you know, how do you see this being responded to? I mean, Facebook seems to have sort of moved in that direction and then sort of backed away from it a little bit at this point.
With their UI?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook obviously has different constraints with, you know, a couple 100 million users. It's you have to move a little more carefully because people are all at different different places in terms of technology and expectations and usage. And of course, they have a product that's just tremendously successful. So you always have to be careful when you have something that successful. You don't somehow break it, because the sort of horrible truth about all successful products is that no one is quite sure why they're as successful as they are, and so you have to be careful you don't accidentally like step on the goose that laid the golden egg. And so as always, you know, startups and smaller operations are able to move a little faster and just take more risks.
All right, just a couple of sort of checkoffs here. We're at the conference. We're having a demonstration from the PubSub Hubbub folks, Brad Fitzpatrick and his partner in crime, whose name I've forgotten at the moment. Brett. Yeah.
His last name is escaping me. But
yes,
another Brett.
Me too. And you know, basically the thrust of that is to you know, bring RSS up to real time, essentially. And as we've talked about, this is more complementary than competitive with your SUP functionality.
Right. They both have, I think, fairly similar goals, which is to be able to make RSS more real time by adding in the notification element. So, in traditional RSS, you just have to check back every hour or however often you want to check. And so that means most of the time there's nothing there, and when there is, there's some latency of potentially an hour or how often you're checking. And so both PubSub, Hubbub, and
let's call it RSS Hub.
And SUP are trying to solve this problem, but it is absolutely, I think, complementary. At least has the potential to be complementary. The Hub product does this with a callback mechanism where you register interest, and then they'll actually ping you when the feed updates, which is actually, I think, a much easier way to consume the data, because let's say you're writing a little app, it's much easier to just make an HTTP call and get that update. The purpose of SUP was to make it very easy for publishers, sites that have a large number of feeds, to just expose that update information. So you know, it's literally something that a site can add SUP support in you know, just a small amount of time, and it works for private feeds, for example. So let's say you don't want to expose your URLs, you don't want to broadcast them to someone else. SUP can still work for that because it uses opaque identifiers for each feed, which means, you know, you could just pick like a random number, and so someone on the outside can't tell anything. It doesn't expose any information. So a number of services use these secret URLs, like Google Reader is one example where the URLs are actually secret. And also sometimes, you know, some services, even if the URLs aren't secret, they still may not want to just emit the activity information for, let's say, private users. So So, Twitter, for example, has private users, has those friend feed. And so SUP is a great way for those publishers to very easily expose the updated information. So, for example, YouTube has actually added sub support a couple weeks back. And so I think in my view of I think the ideal combination is for the hub product, Hubbub, to actually also support sub, because the two work well together. So, for example, if they added sub support, any publisher could subscribe to a feed that supported sub using the pub sub feature, and so then they would get a callback from them, and then the pub sub would monitor the SUP.
Now, is there something that you can do to support them as well?
Yeah, I think unfortunately I haven't had a chance to read all of their specs and everything yet, but it's something that we want to look at more. Just seeing if for example, any feed that supports their system of callbacks, we could just automatically hook into and get those callbacks as well, so that we could update it quickly. So, I mean, we are not tied to any one protocol. We're happy to get updates by whatever means possible.
Sure.
So, SUP we launched last September, I think, or at least we announced last September. But we've actually been using, for example, the pings, the ping service, the blog pings, weblogs.com, and also Google Blog Search has one. We've been doing that since February of 2008. So we've actually been already using those pre-existing ping servers long before we came out with SUP.
Sure.
So and we're happy to find any other source of update information we can get. So it isn't one versus the other. Any place.
No, it's just that as now that you're moving to real time, it's going to expose, the longer latencies of things like RSS coming into your system.
Right.
So it'd be good to, use this opportunity of the real time, the emergence of real time to clean up the varying latencies on the network. All right. Well. Any final words about the dawn of real time for our conference?
It's exciting. I hope everyone gives our search a try and lets us know what they think.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you.